What if the person you most need to forgive isn't the one who hurt you, but the one who still lives in your unconscious mind? And what if healing isn't about fixing your relationship with your actual mother, but about redefining your relationship with the image of her that still holds power over you? This is the unsettling path Carl Jung pointed toward. A journey not of blame, but of awakening, because many of us are still haunted by a mother we no longer live with. Jung called this the mother complex. It's not about your real mother. It's about the emotional imprint she left behind, one that can shape how you respond to love, criticism, failure, and even success. Maybe your mother was present, but her love felt conditional. Maybe she gave everything, but expected too much in return. Maybe she was drowning in her own pain, and there was no room for yours. Whatever the form, these patterns persist. You may find yourself feeling unworthy unless you're achieving. You may fear rejection so deeply that love feels dangerous. Or you may crave approval from people who never seem to give it. These are not personality flaws. They're survival responses, habits wired into your nervous system when you were too young to understand what was happening. And now, you're not battling your mother. You're battling a voice inside you that sounds like hers. One that says, "You're only lovable if you're perfect." One that whispers, "Don't take up too much space." This is the first step to freedom, recognizing that this voice lives inside you, but it is not you. And once you see that, you can begin to challenge it. Because your story didn't end in childhood. In fact, it's just beginning. Here's the deeper truth that many avoid. The real force holding you back isn't your mother. It's the mother archetype that's been living rent-free in your psyche for years. According to Jungian psychology, archetypes are not people. They are universal patterns, blueprints of emotion and behavior that play out through our lives. And the mother archetype is among the most powerful. When integrated, she is the source of warmth, guidance, and comfort. But when distorted or left unexamined, she becomes a shadow, controlling, judgmental, abandoning. And this shadow doesn't just whisper. It commands. You must earn love. You must put others first. You must not want too much. Sound familiar? This internal mother is often more critical than your real mother ever was, because she's built from 1,000 unmet needs, unspoken rules, and childhood interpretations. She is the one who tells you to shrink, to stay safe, to be the good girl or good boy, even if it kills your joy. And here's where it gets more complicated. You carry her into your adult relationships. You expect your partner to read your mind, to nurture you endlessly, to fix what your mother never could. But no partner can do that. No friend, no boss, no mentor. And so the pattern repeats. You feel unseen, unsupported, misunderstood. Not because they failed you, but because you were never supposed to cast them in a role they didn't audition for. The pain you feel is real, but its root lies deeper than your present. Healing begins when you disidentify from the archetype. That means noticing when your actions are being driven by that inner mother. When you're not actually responding to life, but reacting from a child's wound. Start small. Pause when you feel triggered. Ask, is this me, or the part of me still trying to earn love from someone who couldn't give it? This is the beginning of psychological maturity. Not the erasure of the past, but the reclaiming of your power in the present. Because only when you see the story you've been living can you choose to write a new one. And that choice, that's where your freedom lives, even as you begin to question and rewrite your internal narrative. Another force can quietly hold you back. Invisible loyalty. Bert Hellinger, a German psychotherapist and founder of Family Constellations, described this as an unconscious agreement we make with our family system. It often sounds like this: I won't be happier than you. I won't go farther than you. I won't heal if it means leaving you behind. When it comes to the mother complex, this loyalty can take on a painful shape. Deep down, part of you may believe that healing beyond your mother's wounds is an act of betrayal, that thriving means abandoning her emotionally, that living freely somehow makes you ungrateful. So what do you do instead? You self-sabotage. You hold yourself back from love, success, visibility, or peace. because those things don't match the emotional blueprint you inherited. You dim your light to match the room you grew up in. Maybe your mother lived with loneliness, so you isolate too. Maybe she felt unworthy of joy, so you guilt-trip yourself for feeling happy. Maybe she was silenced, so you keep your truth buried deep. You don't do these things consciously. That's the power of invisible loyalty. It hides behind your habits, your guilt, and your resistance to change. It whispers, if I grow, I lose her. If I break the pattern, I break the bond. But here's the truth. You're not betraying your mother by healing. You're liberating both of you from a cycle that neither of you chose. Your life is not her redemption story. Her pain is not your inheritance. You do not honor her by suffering. You honor her by living fully, by becoming who you were meant to be, not who she needed you to be. And when you do that, you don't lose connection. You transform it. You create a relationship built not on obligation or guilt, but on truth, love, and respect. You don't have to abandon your mother to grow, but you do have to stop abandoning yourself in her name. That is what true loyalty looks like, choosing wholeness over repetition, choosing freedom over false belonging. Because the deepest act of love isn't staying stuck, it's choosing to evolve. And evolution begins with a single, radical choice. To believe that your story matters too. So how do you finally break free? By becoming the parent you never had, the one who sees you, supports you, and stays. This is the process of reparenting. It begins by listening to yourself without judgment, holding space for your emotions without shame, and showing up with compassion even when you fall short. Reparenting is not about blame. It's about building a new foundation. One where your worth isn't tied to performance, perfection, or other people's approval. One where you learn to love without begging for it. This process takes time and tenderness. It means learning to speak to yourself with care, to ask, what would a loving mother say to me right now? And then practicing that voice until it becomes second nature. But reparenting is also fierce. It's about protecting your boundaries, honoring your truth, and refusing to sacrifice your peace for validation. You are not weak for needing care. You are wise for choosing to give it to yourself. You may never get the apology you deserved. You may never receive the love you longed for. But you no longer need it to begin. Because healing doesn't require someone else to change. It requires you to show up differently. That's the heart of emotional adulthood. Acting from values, not wounds. Choosing again and again to interrupt the pattern. To stop shrinking, apologizing, or performing just to be accepted. Every time you choose presence over habit, every time you pause instead of react, you are rewriting the story. And this story, it doesn't end in pain. It begins in power. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that sets you free. Power that comes from knowing you belong, that you matter, that you are already enough. You don't have to sever ties to your past to heal, but you do have to stop letting it dictate your future. The mother you seek is no longer outside of you. She is inside you, strong, kind, and ready to lead. Let her speak. Let her hold you. Let her remind you, you are not your wound. You are the one healing it, and that changes everything.